I have my brush loaded with black, and this is where you get to go through the composition yet another time and decide, does anything need to be made darker? And so, because this got neglected from the get-go, I think this section could be a little bit darker. The green section especially, obviously. Since all of this strong color is built up underneath, you can come in with black on top of the vegetables and not worry that you're creating kind of a dead-looking vegetable. So you can come back in with all that strong color underneath and do some more glazing. The first shadow that I'm going to place is from this red pepper onto the basket. All the while checking that to see if anything in this area needs to be made a little bit darker. Unfortunately, now I think that section doesn't look as disjointed as previously it did. Coming and doing the same with the orangish pepper onto the lettuce. This is black that's been thinned down ever so slightly. The great thing about shadows is they equalize areas and make it look like a unit. And again, things don't look as disjointed as they did previously. The basket casts a nice shadow onto the lettuce. And of course, even stronger, again, onto itself. All the while checking that the basket itself is dark enough. And then looking at the lettuce. Is there any areas that need to be glazed darker for form, or to separate areas? Of course, now the lettuce casts a shadow onto the carrots. So we can finally set these back. And the carrots appear tucked behind the lettuce just by me making them just a bit darker. The top carrot is casting a shadow onto the lower carrot. You can even cast a little bit of a shadow from the lettuce onto the basket. It's just amazing how everything is starting to have a better position. let's cast a shadow from this first pepper onto the table. Our goal is to lose the differentiation between the bottom of the pepper and the table. Very faint on this right side, but quite dark as it moves to the left. This is how this pepper would look, casting a shadow going back. The first application of the shadow is quite transparent, and then coming back in and strengthening. You want it very dark right next to the object that's causing the shadow, and then it needs to fade as it moves away. So here is the relatively faint shadow. And this is all getting blocked by the light from the lettuce, the basket. And then here is the shadow from the onion. And we can even put a little bit of a shadow from the onion onto this carrot. And I can still really see the underneath of the onion, so coming back in and getting stronger on the underside. And now I've lost too much of the onion, so I can come back and take some of that out. Shadows have to appear transparent, and so in some cases you want what is underneath to be completely gone, but you still have to be able to discern the object that's underneath. So if it's completely gone, you'll have to go back and find it just by wiping away some of the shadows. A little bit of the carrot. The garlic, of course, casts a shadow to the left. And as always, notice how the shadow comes up onto the object causing the shadow. And anything and any of the objects that you need to darken, now's the time. Sometimes you can't tell if there's something you need to darken until you add the shadow work in. And come back in on your basket, obviously, and strengthen anything that needs to be strengthened. There's a little bit of reflected light. Reflected light is light that reflects off of another object, whether it's a table or a pepper or a basket. But that's coming in with a cool light. It's that idea of lost and found edges, so then if you come in with this cool light and a very, very dry brush and just find a few edges that have maybe faded away too much, just increases the volume and the realistic appearance. But this is right on the outside edge and is in general almost always a cool color. And if in doubt, you just use a blue tint, white plus ultramarine blue. The front of the table needs to be made darker, and that is what's going to cause the table to have a little bit more depth. And so coming in with a wash of black across the front of the table will accomplish that. I've drawn a chalk line in to see where that needs to occur. And this should just be just a wash of color, a wash of black, just to make this just a little bit darker. And at this moment it's a lot darker, but I will buff it out. I like using a chalk pencil or a soapstone to draw a line because it will go away under a little bit of water. Now our table just has so much more depth to it. You can come in then with some warm white and find the edge of the table again. And this, the nice thing about doing this is this again shows that path of light, that some light is going to hit on the foreground of the table. Even a little bit of light on the edge of the shadows. This light doesn't stop until it hits something solid, and so just because the light's been interrupted doesn't mean that it has stopped. It's just been interrupted. So if you put a little bit of light on the edge of the shadows, that makes a big difference as well. Because that's what we paint, the effect of light on objects. One little tiny thing that's been forgotten is the green end on this orangish pepper, and you can just put that in with a little bit of a dark green. But otherwise, I think we've captured yet another still life. If you care to, you could add some water drops, or just look through it and see if there's any other little touches that you might need to add. Set it aside for a while, take a look at it, varnish it, and we'll see you next time.